So I've seen a few shops in my day, and you can always tell by the pixels. It's like, oh, somebody sent me this nice little greeting card, huh? Then you look at it, and literally there are pixels. Like, that's not handwritten. See what I'm saying? I hear you barking, big dog. But, the average pleb would think, oh, some beautiful handwritten, somebody wrote me a letter. So nice. Yeah, this is probably some piece of garbage. 99% sure. Let's open it up. Let me prop this up so I can show you how good I am at opening letters. This how you do when it's Friday night. This is how you do. Get out of here. What do we got? Oh, look. It's a special event. If I hear but don't understand certain words, well, I can tell you I can tell you some certain words, that's for sure. That I'm not going to speak in this video. So, just as a quick backstory for context, I've been wearing earplugs in both of my ears for the last several weeks for a bunch of different reasons. It started off with I have extremely minor hearing damage in my left ear. I can still hear extremely well out of both ears. I have the smallest amount of tinnitus in my left ear. It's such a small amount that I barely even notice it, basically only when it's completely silent. And what happened was, to make a short story long, when I was 16, I damaged my left ear at a rock concert. And people say that tinnitus doesn't get better ever and there's nothing you can do. But for me, it actually did get better. It took 20 years. It never completely went away. But it went away to the point where it was almost totally unnoticeable, sort of how it is now. But anyway, I got my snowmobile back from being tuned up this summer. And I love the sound of a healthy running two-stroke engine. And so I revved it up a bunch of times when I got it back, and it sort of refuculated my damaged ear on the left, and it brought back the tinnitus louder than it had been in many years. But then over some weeks and months, it subsided again. But then I was playing my fiddle up there, and fiddles, when you hold it on your chin and you basically put your left ear right up to it, and it's an extremely loud instrument. And I was playing it all last year and last summer, and it didn't hurt my ear at all. But after the snowmobile incident, apparently the ear had become weakened to the point where the fiddle was able to be loud enough to damage it again. And again, I'm not talking about much damage. I'm talking about such a small amount. But just the kind of person I am is no matter how small the damage, I still don't like it. You know what I mean? It's an extremely small amount. And then after a few weeks a month or two after that, just it sort of subsided again. And then I did the same, and then I was using an electric guitar, and the amplifier, the knobs are like worn out, so they're like popping. I was like turning the knobs, and there was like a loud like popping noise. Not even that loud really, but it was enough to, my ear had become like more sensitive, I guess, to damage than it had been before. Sort of like any injury really, where it's like when you hurt something, it's easier to hurt it more until it gets better, That sort of seemed like what was happening. So after those events, I started wearing an earplug in my left ear to protect it from, because then like after that I noticed like even setting down like a knife and a fork on a plate, you know how that clatter can be pretty loud? I felt physical pain in my left ear from doing that one day after the guitar amp thing. And I was like, all right, I'm done with this shit. And I just started wearing an earplug in my left ear. And, I lived in noise canceling headphones for a few years of my life. And they were some of the best years of my life. I love peace and quiet. And so after wearing an earplug in my left ear for a while, I started wearing one in my right one too, even though there's no damage in my right ear at all. And part of it is to do with something else I'm not going to go into too much. Basically, I just don't like, I just appreciate peace and quiet, pretty much. Unless I'm out in nature. If I'm out in nature, I don't mind the sounds at all. But if I'm in like an urban place or in a house where there's people, I would rather not hear things than hear things for the most part. So I was just wearing earplugs for a few weeks, and even with the earplugs in, I could still hear like 99% of what everybody was saying to me perfectly fine. And once in a while, I'd have to say like, "Oh, what was that?" or something, and like pull out, an earplug slightly. But yeah, no, my ears have healed. My left ear is pretty much back to as good as it was. Like it's damn near silent in this room right now. And I can just hear the very slightest tinnitus in my left ear right now. And it's interesting. It comes and goes. Like sometimes I wake up and like right now it's so hard to describe it. Sometimes there's almost none at all, on a scale from 0 to 100%. It'll be anywhere, like sometimes it'll be very close to 0%. But then sometimes it'll be at like, 15%, maybe even 20, 25%. And that's like after waking up in the morning and not even doing anything. It might be related to like stress levels and blood pressure or something. I'm really not sure. Anyway, there's something else I was thinking. Let me just waste your time for a little while to see if I can think about what it was. Oh yeah, that's the thing. So after that happened, after those events happened where my left ear had become more sensitive to louder sounds, it just felt unsafe for me to have no ear protection in. Because, sometimes those like trucks go by and they blow their air brakes, or like fucking sirens, just like all sorts of bullshit, super loud noises that you have no control over will just fuck your ears, So it's like, I guess you could call it a complex, or it's not even a complex. It's really just reasonable, really. But it just got to the point where, and it's funny because years ago I said to myself, I should just be wearing earplugs all the time, because you never know when something loud is going to hurt your ears, and then your hearing's going to be bad for the rest of your life. And like I said, I can still hear like extremely well even with earplugs in. Like I can hear everything I need to hear. There's rarely a time where I'm like, man, I wish I could hear things louder right now. You know what I mean? It's almost always the opposite. Anyway, yeah, man, that letter, it got, it obviously, your phones and everything, they listen to everything you say. So, yeah, inside that letter, quote unquote letter, was an advertising for like hearing loss, like hearing aids or whatever, which I totally don't need any hearing aids. I can hear extremely well. The only thing I'm really interested in is maybe like stem cells would be pretty cool. They're pricey though. And anyway, but yeah, so apparently, my phone or whatever told the central Google servers to send me some it's interesting. It's like it's basically I was just watching a video on this last night. It's basically lying. It's like lying through omission or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like they know what they're doing. Like they send you sending you a card that looks handwritten, but is actually just printed out and an advertisement. It's not technically a lie, but it is intentionally misleading. And so in that way, it kind of is a lie. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what happened. I actually saw this dude at the airport who was wearing these bone conducting earphones, which were really cool. And I asked him about them. So I've been working up more on like saying whatever is coming to my mind and not being so self-conscious. And it actually has been working really, really well for me. I've been pretty happy with that. Excuse me, I've been a little sick lately. So I was like, oh my God, are those headphones? He said, yeah, they're bone conducting. I was like, oh, that's so cool. He's like, here, try them out. I put them on, and man, they sounded great. They sounded so good. And he's like, oh, and they're nice because, they don't, because, normal in-ear monitors or earbuds, as some people call them, whatever you want to call them, they hurt after a while. They're not comfortable after a long time. But the bone conducting ones, they don't even go inside your ears. And like you would think that maybe they wouldn't sound as good because they're not, but they sounded really good. And the cool thing about them too is that you could have earplugs in and wear them at the same time. So I definitely think I'm going to try to get some of those. I forget what brand. He told me what brand they were. I wrote them down on my phone. They're called like Shock or something Shock. I can look it up and put it in the description or whatever. But anywho, that's the backstory to how all these electronics are spying on you and sending you these authentically inauthentic advertisements, stuff like that. So anywho, have a good one. I hope you guys are all having a good day. Enjoy some music. Do whatever makes you happy. Do not like, do not subscribe, do not share this with anybody, or else there will be consequences, and I am not serious about that. So, yeah. So, adios, amigos. Me gusta tetas grande. Y comer cerveza. Ay, papi.